And we are live on Saturday Nights Live on a Friday. Doing it on a Friday was throwing me off so much that I forgot to turn on my lights. So I feel like I'm sitting here in the dark. Hold on. Wait for it. Wait for it. There we go. That's better. Felt weird. Felt weird sitting here in the dark. Anyways, we're good to go now. The lights are on. We'll see if anybody's home. Anyways, a few people hanging out in the chat already, which is great, which is good. Very first thing I want to talk about, because it is extremely relevant, I think, in you know what we're going to be talking about tonight. Well, it's more or less relevant. Outpost Zaxius figures are now up for pre-order from your favorite retailers. In my case, that is, of course, eCollectibles.ca. The place to get your Mythic Legions and Cosmic Legions in Canada. I'm getting closer and closer to pulling the trigger on these Cosmic figures. I'm not gonna lie, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm as the deadline sort of gets closer and closer in terms of delivery of the first wave. I feel like I'm getting closer and closer to ordering something. I don't know what though. I'm kind of leaning towards Ziri, and then actually ordering this because I feel like this is one of those items that people kind of sleep on, and then in a couple years it'll be one of those items that will be really hard to get and will end up being considerably more expensive than it is now. So I don't know. We'll see. And I said before on another stream that there's part of me that wants to pick up a couple of these and honestly just like sit on them and just on the off chance that if something catches me with Cosmic and there's a wave where I'm just like all in on a wave, then I won't have missed the figures that I want from older waves. But I don't know. I mean, we'll see. There's a whole lot of cool stuff to buy across a whole bunch of lines. And, do I really need another line? The answer is no. But will I end up buying one or two of these? I could very likely end up buying one or two of these. On a related note, just because they're up and I absolutely love these, but I'm not collecting vintage scale. The 3 3/4 inch stuff doesn't fit what I'm collecting. But dang, if this isn't a cool little set. Very tempting indeed. But alas, we are not here to talk about vintage collection animated Ewok animated series figures. We are here to talk about Mythic Legions All-Star 6. We've got the vote that went out as of today. I voted. I waited last time. They said this time there's only so many spots. Survey Monkey, like basically they send out the survey for you to vote. There's only so many votes that Survey Monkey, who sort of runs the survey, the voting, will sort of allow, which makes me think that like they sent out more emails than they have spots for votes. So I didn't want to like wait and then have it sort of turn out where like I couldn't get a vote in. I'll be perfectly honest. I don't care who wins. I genuinely don't care who wins. We'll go over the figures. We'll go over all the sort of nominated figures, and I'll talk about the ones that I would buy, the ones that I wouldn't buy. But we'll go a little further than that because I think, I think people are kind of forgetting some of the other sort of news that they dropped with All Stars. So we'll get into that too. But before we do, let's just very quickly check the chat, see what's going on. Payne's Toy Samples was first again, but he's not watching, and I know that for a fact because he's live streaming right now. I was actually watching his stream just before I jumped on here. Master Versal Toy Hunter, I think, is channel surfing right now. I think he was on hanging out watching Payne's toy therapy as well. But good to have you. Good to have you, Eldor. Good evening and good journey. I guess good journey's at the end, right? Can you say good journey at the beginning too? Is it just a general? Is it like aloha? Is good journey like aloha? Renato said, good evening, folks. Renato messaged me and said, are you going live in 4 hours? I said, no, I'm going live in 4 minutes. My wife and son are passed out, so I will be enjoying a nice quiet time. Well, there you go. Here's your nice quiet. I'll try to be quiet too, so I don't wake them up. Mike Hex said, I voted for everything everyone hates. I mean, you know, if you listen to the comments of some of the people in the cabal, you know, they'll try to tell you that there's a wrong answer. That like a fan vote can have a wrong answer, which I 100% disagree with. I think it's weird and lame that anybody would sort of gatekeep a fan vote and sort of like it just. I don't know. It just it's weird, and I tend to like. I tend to overreact a little bit in I will comment back, you know, when people sort of say like, oh, you know, if you don't vote for the most expensive figure sort of at the going aftermarket price right now, then you're picking the wrong figure. Like the people that are like, don't vote for anything from the marathir wave. Well, there's new fans that miss those figures. You know, Magnus is a good example too, because Magnus could be a great army builder. Great for custom fodder. There's a lot of really good pieces in there. Same goes for Vorthog. You know, it's like, how is that a less valid choice? Because the fan vote will get you figures at retail price. So you're voting for the ones that you would want to buy at retail price. That's all there is to it. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Vote how you want. Collect how you want. It's the same thing. I'm a broken record as far as that goes. Do what you want. This is not, nobody should be able to tell me or anybody what they should collect or why they should collect or how they should vote to increase their collection of figures. Toy Connections is hanging out. Ken, good to have you, my friend. Ken, hey Pains, how was your live stream? It's still going. They're still going. Yeah, Mike Hick says sup. Who else we got? Ostradamus Toys, Cosmic Legion. He's loving Cosmic Legions. Yeah, I mean they're great looking figures. It's just like I've said before. You know, I'm a little bit weary about getting into another line. Kelly Chase, Galeron gang, giddy up. Galeron? Spelling? Is that how it's spelled? Anyway. Will says froze up. What froze up? The video froze up? Is the video frozen on your end? Renato says, you can paint them. Yeah, absolutely. Just like you could paint a red skeleton, but we'll get there. Mr. Wonderful is hanging out. I'm trying to get through these here. I'm trying to read them as I go. But I'm trying to, and a couple of people have sort of said who they voted for. We'll get to that, and we'll sort of, you know, when I you know, when we get to sort of who's voting for what, everybody can just blast in the comments there, and we'll discuss people's selections and how bad their selections were. Miko Darkblade is hanging out. JG is hanging out. Even voting for someone you know will lose will help them be in the next All-Star vote. Really, no vote is wasted. Absolutely, I completely agree. And I think, you know, if the one that you vote for doesn't win, there's always next time. Or is there? We'll get into that because they keep changing the format and they keep moving the goalposts, which is interesting. But I mean, we'll sort of discuss that a little bit. Will says, I'm out on Cosmic. Fall, winter going to be pricey with Poxus, Savage Crucible Wave 1, and Necronominus. Yes. Poxus will be this year. Necronominus I don't think will be until... Or Poxus will be this year. Necronominus probably won't be delivered till next year. Is that right? Yeah, I think so. Trying to think of like delivery schedule from the last few waves, and it typically is like usually they deliver a wave just before they reveal it. Anyway, whatever. We're not. I'm bore people with that. AI's Collectibles is here, just popping in to say hi. Hello, AI. Hope you have a great night. Necro is Q1 2024. Wow, that's pretty quick. Yeah, but Q1 could be like March, right? If it's the end of Q1. And that could change too. We'll see. Still, I mean, it's still a ways away. So I'm not really that worried. Thanos Copter's hanging out as well. Okay, let's get into it. Let's bring up where is it? I didn't have it. Oh shoot. Let's bring up the Source Horseman website so we can kind of take a look at the selection. So there it is, right on the front page. Who will emerge victorious? I hope I click on one where I can actually like bring it. This is what I want. I just want this picture. There we go. All right, so there are the figures available to be voted on. Lots of great options there. You've got a good mix of, the first wave, Advent of Decay. You've got some of the smaller waves, all the way up to the Marathir wave. So there's kind of something for everybody, no matter which sort of race from Mythos that you're into. We've got humans, we've got knights, we've got goblins, orcs, dwarves, demons, Jaguelians, whatever Grisha is, because we don't know. Vampires, like there's something for everybody. And the thing is, they're all good choices, right? Like these are, you see people sort of making the argument that some of these are impossible to find. I say some of these are just more expensive than others. That's the reality. It's like if you want one of these figures bad enough, you'll find one. You'll just have to pay for it. But I've said this before, and I will say it again because it bears repeating, because it is 100% relevant in this sort of instance, right? I don't care what certain figures cost or sort of are worth on the aftermarket. If I don't want them at the aftermarket price, I don't. There's figures I wouldn't buy at a retail price, let alone the crazy aftermarket price. And so, like, to that end, there's definitely figures on this list that even if they win, I don't care. I wouldn't be picking them up. And it's sort of one of those things where I just voting for one because it's $500 on eBay right now doesn't make any sense to me if I don't want the figure anyway. It just, to me, that's a wasted vote because you're voting for something that you don't want to buy. So regardless of like Clavian is the one. Clavian is the obvious one. Clavian and Pixis are the two that I don't care. I mean, they're both worth a ton of money on sort of eBay or aftermarket or whatever. It's not but it's not a figure that I want. It's not a figure that I need. I don't care about skeletons. And so to that end, like, I wouldn't vote for them, because if those were offered to me at retail price today, I still wouldn't buy them. I don't want them. I don't need them in my collection. So it's irrelevant what they're worth on the aftermarket. Just jumping back into the comments here, Thanos Copter says, where does one vote for these? If you didn't get the email, you probably won't. It's basically, I think Brick answered the question. If you've ever ordered from Horseman, you got an email ballot. You also, I think, can sign up for the newsletter. But I think it's probably too late to sign up for that now, if you didn't before. But he also says, found it, thanks. So you got the email. So no worries there. Mick has joined us. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Dad, just saw you in a chat. I knew you had a clone. Well, I was in that chat. I just had to duck out to jump on to get this. Actually, while I was setting up, I was still watching, and then I jumped onto this right after that. So, but yeah, we're talking about these figures. Now, basically what I'm kind of going to do is quickly go through the figures and sort of, talk about what I like about them, what I don't like about them, some of the interesting stuff that's sort of going on with some of the figures, and why, why I think they're worth voting for. Miko said, really disappointed not to see any Shadow Elf in there. I'll touch on that after I go through all of these. Like I said, I'm going to go through these as quick as I can, because I think there's more discussion to be had. I think the more interesting discussion to be had, rather than like who these figures are, is like what's not on the list, and what they've also sort of hinted at, and what other news they've given us. Because I'll be perfectly honest and say that, like, the All-Stars is cool and it's fun to have like a fan vote, but I'm way more interested in stuff that's not on this page right now, which is cryptic and stuff. But and Miko said, Bolthor and Gorthok. I don't really need the other, and got the ones I wanted. Yeah, and I think those are both good choices too. JG, I was delighted to see that I only own one of these figures. Yeah, I have a couple of them, but I'd be happy to get a bunch more of them. Mike Hext, voting for toys is not voting for Trump. You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. Brick said, I have the ones I'm interested in overall, but also not familiar with all the accessories and parts, so I'm curious to go through them more closely. Yeah, let's do that. Let's get into it. JG said Clavian would go well with the SHF Berserk Guts figure coming out. Sure. Yep. All right, so let's just take a look. We're going to take a look. We're going to switch over. And if you've never used, if you're into Mythic Legions and you've sort of never checked this out, head over to the Four Horsemen's Mythic checklist. So if you're on sourcehorseman.com, hit Mythic Legions, and it's just in the drop down there. It says Mythic checklist. This is a list of all the figures that they've ever done in Mythic Legions. And we'll sort of list, what accessories they come with, whether they come with alternate heads, so on and so forth. So this is a fantastic resource. And when I first got into Mythic Legions, I'm not kidding, I spent like almost a month straight just looking at these, checking out the bios. I had no idea, what anything was worth at that point. I was just looking at cool figures and sort of making a list of ones that I wanted. And then I realized how much some of them cost, and I was just like, yeah, I can probably skip a lot of these. But anyways, just jumping in, we're going to go alphabetical, because that's basically how they have them on the voting page there. As a spirit bender, so Azza is figured from the convocation of Basilia. She is a magic user, necromancer, more specifically. Really cool parts, unique sort of blue parts. 2.0 figure, comes with the little dagger. The small dagger and sheath is not a terribly common accessory, and her staff is not that common either. A very unique figure, but you know, for a lot of people, 2.0 figures, they don't love 2.0 figures, and I can understand that. You know, there's fewer of them. They don't stand up as well. On and on. I hear all the excuses, but I love elves and I love the 2.0 figures. As a slim, slightly built man, I like the 2.0 figures because they're just I don't know. I just like them. You don't have to be big and thick and muscly to be a hero. Balam is the next up. Balam is one of my top 3 Mythic Legions figures. I've got one in my collection. I would absolutely buy a couple more given the chance at retail. This is one of the very few figures that I paid market value for, and I think it's a stunning figure. I think his purple armor looks absolutely amazing. The blue swords that he comes with are unique as well. And he comes with a helmeted head as well. So, you know, if you don't want the Jagwellian, you can always have a really cool purple knight. He is also from Convocation of Basilia. So he is a magic user. He's a mage. He is on the High Council of Basilia. So he's pretty instrumental. Like he's pretty, you know, involved in the lore. So definitely a good character to have. But like I said, I think he's a fantastic figure. Belgore is one where I passed on Belgore the first time around. I probably wouldn't pick him up, you know, this time around. He's a cool demon. If you're into demons, you know, hooves, horns, you know, you get some cool stuff in there. Spare hands too, so he's got extra hands. This is not one that I'm terribly excited about. I would also say that being that he is from the Airthir wave, I don't think he's going to get the votes that he needs to really have a shot anyway. So I don't really see him, you know, being much of a contender to be one of the top 3. Boar, Advent of Decay, dwarf scale Boar, basically. So he's pretty cool figure. Again, you know, a creature. So this is one that's, you know, right up my alley. I'm happy to get more creature characters. He also has a tail. So I actually strategically voted for Boar because I need more of those the buttholes to do more cats and to do more critters and to plug more tails in, because that piece, a 1.0 sort of crotch piece with a boom hole, is in short supply, at least as far as I, you know, am concerned. Next, this I think this guy is fantastic. I would love to see this guy be one of the big ones. This guy's from Mythic Legions 1.0, so the first Kickstarter. Both are Shadowhorn. Just a really cool dwarf and really cool armor. I like the sort of gunmetal and bronze together. That's a really good color combination to me. And you know, the dwarves are fun. I think, you know, it's just more variety too. Like if you don't have a lot of dwarves, you know, if you got all 1.0 figures, then you know, add some flavor to the shelf. So he's a bad guy. So he's Aerithir. So he's actually you know, this isn't a lore episode, so we're not going to get too deep, but a bunch of the dwarves are baddies and a bunch of the dwarves are good guys. So, you know, he's on the bad side. I'll be perfectly honest. If he wins and I pick him up, he's definitely going to be a Xylonis Flock dwarf. He's got the right color palette. I'll just swap those pauldrons out for something either, you know, green or brown or something like that, and he'll be a Xylonis Flock figure for sure. At least on my shelf in my collection. The other dwarf in the running is, of course, Bromden Ironjaw. Now, Bromden is the sort of king of the dwarves, or at least sort of his little group of dwarves. He's the reason that there's a bunch of dwarves in Legion of Marathir, because he basically took a bribe to join them. He comes with a ton of stuff. He's got, again, 1.0 dwarf body, great head sculpt, that really cool crown. He's got a cape. He's got fur. He's got, the hammer, the sword, the axe, the shield, extra head. So you could buy, 2-3 of these and have the king with his 2 guards, either side. So this is a great one. This is a great one to me, like for all-stars purposes, because you could buy more than one. Anytime there's a figure where you can buy multiples and sort of justify it, I think that's a good vote. As far as like, vote for whoever you like, but I genuinely think that some of these are better suited. If you got to pay, say you got to pay aftermarket price for a figure that's like really unique, but you're only getting one. There's other math that I sort of look at too. Like if you want to do Bromden with 2 guards, right? If Bromden is let's say there's a figure that's $200 and then Bromden's $100. But if you're going to buy 3 Bromdens, that's $300. So it's better to get that one at retail than the one that's $200. Follow me? The math doesn't always work out exactly the way people kind of think it does. Or at least, anyway, I think you get what I mean. Next up, we've got Clavian. He's a red skeleton. Big deal. Bioskeleton, paint him red. He's worth a ton of money. I don't know why. I don't get it. Change my mind in the comments. The next one, who's next? I'm scrolling through here trying to find the next one. Faustia is next. Faustia is one of those characters where at least Michael Casper absolutely hates Faustia. Faustia is Michael Casper's least favorite figure. I think she's okay. She's black and red, so it doesn't really do much for me. The gold, like her color, like her deco, is I genuinely don't like. The red and black and gold, like it feels too much. I just don't like it. I don't like her deco. But she's not an easy figure to find. She's in the she's in army of Leodicius. So if Leodicius is your faction, she's a great figure to have. She's also a bit of a magic user though too. She's the chief cleric for the army. A fierce warrior in her own right. Some decent accessories. She comes with a spare head as well. So you could even sort of set her up in this configuration and grab a couple, right? You could have a couple soldiers in the army there. So why not? I see your comments. Hold on. I'll jump into the comments. I'll bring Clavian up because I think Clavian is one of those ones where I don't get it, but a lot of people love this figure. This picture, doesn't necessarily do it justice, is what people say. Like, his accessories are great. He comes with a unique shield. He comes with a Necronominous shield. But Renato says skeletons all the way. Renato and I were having a friendly discussion about skeletons earlier today. Facebook user says he has a unique shield. Mika says, I love skeletons, but Clavian does nothing for me either. Mick says, I love skellies, but I don't see the appeal of Clavian. Yeah, I mean, I don't get it. I mean, the red skeleton, you know, he's literally tied for my least favorite figure in Mythic Legions with the gold skeleton. The unique shield. Okay, here's my thing with the unique shield. They're now moving on to the 3D the 3D shields for factions, right? So while that shield is unique, I don't need it because I'm confident that we're going to see, you know, a 3D Necronominous sword, which is going to look super cool. I'm not even a skeletons guy, but I know that we're going to see like a skeleton sort of sculpted shield, and it's going to look so cool. I'll see if I can find a picture when I sort of get to that point. Mike X, I want him. Fair enough, and that's the thing. I genuinely, like, if he wins and people get to pick this figure up, I will be genuinely happy for people because it's a super expensive figure. I'm not, you know, I would love for everybody to get every figure that they wanted, right? I would love for all these figures to win and them to be just like, okay, the wave's 20 figures and, you know, you all get it. Mick, the mini skirt cod piece, yes, which is apparently also unique, but also a piece that I don't care about. Brick says the old skeletons are rad, but I have one and I'm good. Now the Necronomina stuff, yes, exactly my point. All these skeletons are the same. The way they differentiated the skeletons was literally to like paint them different colors. So, I'll say it. He comes with a rare small cod piece. Yes. To protect what? I don't know, because he's just bones. He's an NRB. He's a no reason boner. That's what I think. Renato, supposedly this one is much better in hand. That's what I told my wife too. Yeah, I mean, people can say that as much as they want, and I don't. It doesn't. There's no argument that anybody can make that will sell me on Clavian. That's the honest truth. Miko says, I love skeletons, but Clavian. Oh, sorry, I already read that one. Miko also said Faustia is okay, but not that special in hand versus in pictures. Yes, that's the thing. I've seen her. I don't have her in my collection, but I've seen the figure, and it's just not. It's an underwhelming figure. JG says, imagine a red skeleton in the maxillium robe and red feather wings. Yeah, I can imagine it. It's still not something I need. Yeah, exactly, Miko. The cod piece to protect the boner. You could just say the boner, and it's still true. All-Star 6 has a continuation of Necronominous Wave, hoping for a Brother Mandibulus, Morgulith, or Malleus 2.0. I'll wait for that instead of voting for Clavian. That's where we're gonna get. That's where we're gonna get with the discussion. Let me get back in here, and we'll get through a few more of these. Yeah, that's my thing, is that you're gonna get more skeletons. So I'm not worried that you're not gonna get at least, you know, 2 more skeletons with this wave. Next up, we've got Vorthog. I think this is a fantastic looking figure. This is an expensive figure. This is one that I voted for. Legion of Marathir, you know, basically a cave-dwelling cavern orcs or shadow orcs. This is a named one. He also comes with a spare head. So again, a great opportunity to get, you know, 2 or 3 of these and have, you know, a faction within a faction. I think this is a great figure, and I voted for this. This was, you know, when I first got into Mythic Legions, this guy was on my short list of figures that I wanted, and then I realized that it wasn't a figure that I was going to get. Another thing that I've heard about this specific figure is that he had really loose legs. And so hopefully they'll be able to address that. And so theoretically, if this guy wins, we will see a better version of this figure than we got in the past. But I think his deco is really, really cool and really unique. I absolutely love it, and I think this would be a great one to mix in with the orc, the orc builder, and the War of Aetherblade orc builder packs. You're just adding more parts to the fodder bin for your orc army. I would love to do a version. I would love to get a couple of these and then do sort of like an armored version of this guy as well. Michael Casper shared a picture in the Cabal of Vorthog with the Unknown One's wings, and apparently they're like a perfect match color-wise. So, I mean, I think you could do some fun stuff with this guy. I mean, I'm not going to tell anybody how to vote, but I'm definitely going to tell people what I voted for, what I would like to buy, but vote however you want. Grisha the Slitherer. So this is a figure that, again, 2.0, Advent of Decay. So there's people that kind of say, it's still too new. You should vote for the older ones or whatever. But it's kind of a unique figure. They don't really know, the identity of Grisha is sort of unknown, kind of comes from somewhere afar, has that onion head. I would love to grab this figure. I would immediately swap that head with probably, just an elf head or a dark elf head or something. Like just anything but that head. That head really turns me off of this figure. But from the neck down, I think it's an absolutely stunning figure. The red and the purple. And I would very much like to get, at least one of that figure. What do we have next? Scrolling. King Noglin. Another figure that I don't have that I would absolutely love to have in my collection. The King of the Goblins. He's got really cool deco. He's a little bit unique among the goblins in that he's not just kind of black, right? He's not. There's a bit more color going on there. There's that really kind of muted gold, kind of dirty gold, and some kind of metallic brown for the rest of his armor. Just a really fun figure. The goblins are so great because their head sculpts are just so much fun. I know that not everybody collects goblins, so I think he's kind of a long shot. But who knows? I mean, it could. I think he's got a chance. Moving on, we've got Lord Vitris, named after Joe Viteri, and a knight that was available up until fairly recently. Not a very popular knight. It does have a unique kind of look. The purple and the bronze looks good. The bare arms on a knight, I don't know. It's not my favorite thing. But his deco is very, very nice, and the accessories that he comes with in sort of gold and purple, I think look pretty cool. Again, this is one of those figures where at retail, would I pick it up? Yeah, I would consider it, but not something I need in my collection. Magnus is, I think, one of these figures that is the argument is that Magnus is too new of a figure, that he's not expensive enough to make it into the vote. Honestly, when I hear those vote, like when people sort of making those arguments, what I hear is I've been collecting since this wave, so I already have this, so I'm not going to vote for it. But there's so many collectors that are new to the line, that are like, new within the last couple waves, right? So they weren't around to get Magnus, and Magnus is a phenomenal figure. Like, I think objectively, price aside, I think like this is a better figure than Lord Vitris. I just, so when you sort of say one's older, so it's more deserving of a vote or whatever, vote for what you want. Again, I have Magnus, but if given the chance, I'd probably pick up another one or two. Next. And I'm skipping the alumni ones. We'll go back to the alumni ones if you're following along and wondering why I've skipped some. Next up, Sir Galeron. I'm going to jump in the chat here and just check comments before going forward, and then we'll push through for sort of the last little chunk of figures. Let's see. Some of the comments are not going to make sense because they were like I've missed them and it's potentially too late, right? So, oh geez, the chat's kind of blowing up. When I'm looking at the figures, I'm not looking at the chat. Renato, we will be getting new Necro figures too. Morgulith version 2 coming. We'll talk about that when we get there. A few people sort of talking about the Necro stuff, and I think it's worth talking about because that's look, the 1 point or like the original skeletons I think are irrelevant now. Unless you're a completist, you need the red one and the gold one, whatever. Good for you. I hope you get them, like I said. But I don't know. Alberto has joined us. Hello, Alberto. Miko says Morgulith is one of my favorite figures, but she is so fragile. She needs a version 2.0. Fair enough. Thanos Copter, like the paint job on this orc. I think you mean Vorthog. He looks really cool. Renato, Vorthog looks really cool. He reminds me of Ilgar a bit. Sure. I could see that. Payne says, oh, why won't this load? There we go. Payne says, I went all Animal Kingdom and Dwarf King. That's just about how I voted too, I think. I've already forgotten who I voted for. I have to look at the picture to remember. Because like I said, I kind of don't care. JG, I need Grisha to hold that Aladdin's lamp that comes with Kalazir the Djinn. A lot of people are pushing for Azza and Grisha just because the Djinn is coming. And, maybe they skipped them first time around. And now they're kind of like, I could fill out my blue-skinned section of my shelf. Brick says, cool paint job on Vorthog, but I don't dig orcs. Closest thing to an orc I have is an Ogre Legion builder. I'm more into those third-party Warcraft orc figures. Fair enough. Here's my counter argument. Just put a helmeted head on, and he could just be like a filthy cave-dwelling whatever human. Mick, Grisha, I love the head sculpt. You do you. Miko says Grisha is nice but a bit fragile. I will display him with the genie and the Poxus wave. Yes, exactly. He commands respect, King Noglin. Yeah. Even though he's small in stature, big in spirit. Renato, I voted for Noglin. I was going to choose Boar, but ended up voting for the king last minute. Miko Dark JG says exactly with that the genie lamp. Perfect. Yes. Mick says that's the issue with 2.0. They look cool, but can be finicky when you have on hand, especially if you arm them with a lot of weapons. Yes, their joints tend to be a little bit weaker. They tend to fall over more easily, so on and so forth. I'm okay with that. I can live with that because I can set them up on my shelf so that they're stable. And then when I play with them, they're just so much fun to play with. Their articulation is a little bit better than the 1.0 figures. So Miko Noglin is one of my favorites. Mike Hex, no goblin shaming. Brick, I dig Grisha's head a lot. Funky and cool. It is very unique. It's totally different from anything else, right? And it has that going for it. I think though I think it has that going against it though as well. Miko, Lord Vitris colors are nice, but in that army, but in what army do you put him? Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that like knights for me are kind of a funny one, where, you know, silver and gold, okay, purple because Balam just looks so fantastic. Okay, you know, there's, but some of them just don't quite fit. And in my head canon, where there's not as many factions as there really are, sort of in Mythic Legions, I kind of pick and choose. And so Vitris and Galeron are kind of in that same boat. Some sort of chat amongst you guys. Mitch is here. Bromden, Ironjaw, Asterion, Balam, Boar are the names, I believe. Yes. Okay. Oh, you voted for the Dwarf King. Yes. Allison Troy is here. What's going on, Allison? Facebook user, Filthy Cave Dwelling Human was my band's name in high school. I knew it was you, Facebook user. If you don't know Facebook user, you're missing out. His Instagram is full of all the band names that his high school band names. Thanos Copter, only one I'm sure I'm voting for so far is Bromden. Fairness. At almost 40, I feel like version 2. Weak joints and I fall over. Yeah. And Onion Head. Yeah, exactly. I'll take a cat. I would take multiple. With the new night bodies coming, having that added bit of articulation, it will be hard going back. Yes, very valid point, very relevant point, and that's kind of how I feel about the skeletons too. And as somebody that I have said this before, skeletons in the knights don't do much for me. They have to be very unique, or they have to either be really unique or really generic, so that they kind of fit either way. And yeah, it's, you know, going forward, the figures are getting better. So you know, like I said, if you're a completist and you miss some of these, you know, I hope you can get them. But that doesn't really convince me that I need them just because they're old. Zazel's jumped in. What's going on, Zazel? Everybody's saying hello to everybody. Hello to everybody. Hello, everybody. Hello. I'll skip that. JG, anyone trying to go to shop the Curiosity in Danbury, Connecticut tomorrow? I would love to. Unfortunately, on the west coast of Canada, it's a little bit of a drive. I wouldn't be able to make it in time. Zazel says, a fan of the old stop motion movies. I can do skeletons all day. Yes, I think there's an element of that, right? Like there's definitely a lot of people that have very strong feelings about those simple kind of basic skeletons, and I totally respect that. I can get behind that. I'm not one of them, but whatever. Alberto, did you vote for Balam? I absolutely did. I absolutely voted for Balam. Let's get through the rest of the list, and then I will talk about who I voted for and why, and then we'll move on. So Sir Galeron, again, from the first Kickstarter, Order of Aetheron. So we've got Aetheron coming up. So he has got, you know, kind of a unique paint deco, and I think, you know, the picture doesn't necessarily do it justice. You'll see different pictures. He kind of looks different colors and different lights almost. It's, you know, I wish they would do an updated photo for all of them. Like I wish Trevor, their photographer, could do an updated picture for all of them before they do the voting. Because I think sometimes some of the details get lost. You know, Clavian is a good example, right? Like if he wins, great. Hope you guys are happy. You know, that shield, right? People make the argument that they want him because that unique shield. The shield doesn't show up in the picture. So if you're kind of new to the game, you don't necessarily know what he comes with. and so it's a bit of a pain in the butt to look at the old photos and not necessarily know what you're getting with the figure kind of thing. Thal and Frostbow, really cool, kind of, you know, winter kind of frosty elf. She's a frost elf, so that's exactly what she is. Really cool figure. Again, 2.0. There's nothing here as far as like unique parts or anything like that. These are all, you know, the standard 2.0 armored bits. She does get, you know, the furry cape, and that is pretty cool. You know, with the deco is fantastic. You do get a spare head with this one again. So again, this is one where if this figure gets in, I could see people buying multiples and sort of building out, you know, a frost elf army, and that would be cool. I mean, the thing with the 2.0 bodies, you can pop that top part of the torso off, so you could get a male top part of the torso painted up in the sort of frost elf colors, and away you go. And so that would potentially be pretty cool. And that's kind of what I'm thinking if she wins. That's what I would do personally. But Thwick is next. We get another cool little goblin. Siege of Bjornar, so he's not that old. 2019 figure release, but comes with a bunch of cool accessories. Again, just a fun little goblin. You know, great head sculpt. The head sculpts with the goblins are really what gets me, right? Like they're all unique. They're all a little bit different. So it's just they're a fun race to collect because they're more expressive than most, and I like that. Urku, again, this figure's price on the aftermarket is bananas. He is from the original Kickstarter as well, so has not been available in a long time, which is why his price is up there. Again, there's nothing terribly unique here, and to that end, I mean, as much as this is a cool figure, and I would buy this if they did it, if he made it through, and Four Horsemen produced him. This is basically the figure that you get in that War of Erethyr pack. Slightly different color to the armor and to the accessories, but effectively the same figure, right? The bear orc body, you know, the spiky boots, the spiky shoulder pauldrons, the spiky wrist gauntlets, the helmeted orc head. There's nothing unique here. If we don't get it, I won't be upset, but I will buy it if we do get it. Vampire Knight, again, I love this figure, and it's certainly one that I think you could buy multiples of. You actually get 2 extra heads. So there's 3 heads that come with this guy. You get the fully helmeted sort of elf head, but in this case, it's you know, a vampire. You get the sort of unmasked head, and then the unhelmeted head. So again, potential for Legion building. We got Alithia very recently. So if you're into vampires, this is a great way to sort of build out your army. But a 2.0 figure. So there's pushback, you know, there's pushback, right? And then last but not least, Vorthog, a Legion of Erethyr. Again, an orc. He was in an Erethyr wave, so he's pretty recent. But this is a cool one too. You know, you get some alternate parts. You get the alternate helmeted head. The parts that he comes with are fantastic. Like, it's a great looking figure. I definitely think that you could get if this comes out again. I've got Vorthog. I would probably get more. His accessory loadout is really good. That sword, I really like the sword and the hammer and the shield that he comes with. Paint deco on this guy is fantastic too. So extra hands as well with this figure. So he's got quite a bit going for him. That's it. That's the 20. I'm going to go back to the top. We'll jump in the comments again, and then we will jump into the alumni category. Let's see where I left off. Hopefully there's not too much going on. Truth be told, I'm going to vote, but feeling like I may not actually buy much this time around. So many great toys have been coming and are coming. Plus, I'm doing the West Coast Mythic meetup tomorrow. Brick, I'm going to message you after, because yeah, gotta spend carefully. Yeah, for sure. JG just got Zazar today. He is amazing. Blue with purple armor, looks glowing next to my others. Yep. And he was the last All-Star wave, right? So Facebook user about Thalen says she's nifty, would look great hanging with Father Christmas, Mother Christmas. Good point. I hadn't even thought of that. Goblins' heads are less generic than most races, I find, what makes them more unique. Yes, absolutely. The goblins, like all the orcs, you know, have the helmeted orc head or the unhelmeted orc head. There's like, I think there's 3 orc heads. There's the helmeted orc head, the unhelmeted orc head, and the Vorthog orc head. And then it's just paint apps. The goblins are like, every goblin, I think, has a different head. Some have 2. Like, there's like extra heads with some of the goblins. Facebook user, I love my goblins. Gaunt kicked it off for me, and King Noglin too. Yeah, and I need both of the goblins that are in the voting. So, Brick saying agree. Goblins are fun as hell. Rankin Bass style goodness. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they kind of do have that look to them, don't they? So I got to skip some comments and try to keep up. Alberto says enough orcs for now. I love them, but give them a break, or give us something different, right? Like I said, like I like orcs, but I want something that's different. The orcs that we keep getting are just sort of the same orc repainted, redecoed, and you know, I want a little more variety. Red skeletons, let's go. King Bromden, don't sleep on him. He's the first Legion I own. Yeah, it's a great, absolutely fantastic figure. Oz is back. JG, I think 20 is too many to choose from. Well, I mean, yeah. Jeremy said today that there's like 4 clear front runners, that there are 4 figures that have way more votes than anybody else. And from first to fourth, the difference is like 50 votes. And, you know, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like I said, there's some in there that you know aren't going to win, right? Like, I hate to say it, but like as a Spirit Bender, I think is one of those figures where it's a great figure, but I just don't think a 2.0 figure. Too many people had the opportunity to already buy her at retail, I guess, is sort of the problem with some of those figures. And a lot of people passed, and so they're probably like me, you know, they would pass on some figures the second time they come up. I wouldn't pass on it as a Spirit Bender. I would buy it for sure. I'm just using that as an example. Alberto says, yeah, new orc head sculpts. That's all I need to make an orc different, right? You can reuse some of the newer parts and stuff like that. Oz says, I'm all over the place with this brick. All about some skeletons. Yeah, I mean, they're fine. Fury orcs would have been cool. Would have been cooler if they did. Again, Jeremy said Fury orc. It's like you've gotten enough Fury Clan figures recently that they just skipped Fury Clan. But I think there's more to that. Very quickly, let's take a look at the 4 alumni. So this is a new category this year that they haven't had in the past. I mean, if you're not familiar, last year they kind of mixed it up and there was like rounds of voting. So like you voted for, pick 2 out of these 10, 2 out of these 10, 2 out of these 10. And then the top 2 from all of those, went into like this kind of a format. They kept saying like, we're never gonna, if it's already been an all-star, it's sort of disqualified from being an all-star. But now they got all-stars alumni vote, which is fine. I mean, 3 of the 4 I would buy. Guess which one I wouldn't. 3 of the 4 I would buy. So I'm happy. Unless it's the one that I don't want, in which case I don't care. But these are figures that have been in early waves. They've been all-stars, and now they're offering them again. I'll be perfectly honest and say that I would rather have had 4 of those 20. Because I don't know. I'd rather have go through all of them first, re-release all of them first, and then go back and sort of pick, the favorites. That's just my opinion. But anyway, like I said, 3 of the 4 I would buy in a heartbeat. So I'm not complaining. Like in that respect, it's one of those things, right? Asterion, absolutely fantastic figure. He's got a unique shield as well. He's got the Xylonis Flock shield, which I believe he is the only figure that has that shield. But I wanted this shield for a long, long time until the one that came out with Xylernian Guard, that 3D one, blows this thing out of the water. So while it's a unique shield, I don't need it anymore. I don't have Asterion, so I do want this figure. It's a great looking figure. This is the first Minotaur that they did. I think this is the best Minotaur that they've done. This one, the sort of transition in color, from the sort of Caucasian chest and upper legs, with the sort of shoulder neck piece that goes on, and then the head. Stunning looking figure. It looks absolutely awesome. I think that this head would look really, really good on a brute scale figure as well. And I don't know if that sort of neck piece would fit, but I know that the head would, because it's a 1. The brute scale figures use a 1.0 head peg. So I'm kind of looking a little further out as far as Asterion goes, because I think the Minotaur, I think he should be a little bit bulkier, a little bit bigger. The next one up is, where is he? There he is, Carpathius, the vampire. Great figure. I would buy him. Original Kickstarter as well as All Stars 2. But he's just a knight with a vampire head, right? So there again, he's not that unique. You could buy a knight and paint one up. You just wouldn't have the head. No additional heads. He comes with a sword, a dagger, and a spear. So like no crazy accessories that are terribly unique or anything like that. Cool looking figure. I would buy it, but if he didn't win, I would not be upset. And I love vampires. It is what it is. The next is Sir Ignatius, which I'm forgetting my alphabet. I know that anyway. Where is he? There he is. Sir Ignatius. Now this, I think, there's a very strong argument to be made to vote for this guy. Very, very unique armor. Order of Aetheron, so he's going to fit right in with figures that we're going to get sooner rather than later. There's a pearlescence to his armor that would not be easy to paint. I don't know if it's paint, or I don't know if there's sort of different plastic that they've used, but there's he kind of has like a pearliness to him. So this is a figure that I would definitely 100% buy if he was to win the alumni vote. And that paint scheme, like I said, the deco of sort of that pearlescent armor with the gold and the purple is just Beautiful, beautiful figure. Much harder to paint than some of the others. No unique parts, but a very unique paint job, which would be very hard to replicate. And then last but not least, I was going alphabetical, but for whatever reason in that picture, they didn't do it in alphabetical order. Anyway, Pixis. So we get a Mercurian skeleton. So this is like a perfect blend of the two things that I care least about in Mythic Legions: skeletons and Mercurians. What can I say? I guess if you're into skeletons and Mercurians, he's the perfect combination. If you're into one or the other, I mean, he's a skeleton that's very expensive and hard to find. If you're into Mercurians, you'll now have the red, the black, and a blue one, and a green one if you've got the green one. I guess, I don't know. Yeah, so that's the offerings. That's the selection. That's there's the graphic with sort of all the picks. Let's see if I can get this somewhat centered. There we go. We'll kind of leave it like that so that everybody can see them. But I think there's a lot of great figures in here. When I was going through the list, I think there's like 12 of the 20 that I would buy in a heartbeat, and then a few that I'd be like, yeah, I'll pick up one, and only a couple that I have no interest in at all. And then in the alumni, like I said, 3 out of 4 I'd be very, very excited to get. But yeah. Exactly, Oz. I'm loving the cast of this new Mortal Kombat game. It definitely it has that vibe, doesn't it? The way they set it up, and they say like select one fighter, select your fighter. It definitely has like a video game feel. I'm scrolling up to try to find where I was, and okay, there it is. Okay, Alberto says no Carpathius for you, Adam. I bet. No, I would absolutely buy Carpathius. The alumni that I would not buy is Pixis. But you probably answered that question before I went on my rant about Pixis. JG says agreed, exemplary Minotaur, but I'm more interested in the larger Zezre ones. Yeah, fair enough, and they're offering those as well. That's a good point. Is that if you're collecting other lines, you might not need the Minotaur. Mick says it does fit on a brute scale. I tried my Tori on the Centaur and it works. Yeah. Eddie says Elf Ranger. Yeah, you and me both, man. We'll finish up, this part of the conversation, but there's something in the back of my brain that says we might still get an Elf Ranger sooner rather than later. Brick's heading out. Good night, Brick. I will talk to you again very, very soon. I think you're messaging me. I think you've messaged me since you made that comment. So I will answer you as soon as I'm done. Alberto says, I think it is the plastic for certain ACS. Yeah, I think so, because it's like there's like it's a different, it looks different, and it doesn't look like paint. Like, it doesn't look like pearlescent paint. It looks like the plastic is pearlescent. Facebook user says Pixel Dan tribute. Yes, Pixis is, for those of you that don't know, a Pixel Dan tribute, which is great, but I'm not going to vote for it just because it's a Pixel Dan tribute. I don't want it, even though it's a Pixel Dan tribute. And eCollectibles says, I don't see how Pixis loses that bracket. I don't know. I mean, Ignatius is so unique, and it's been a long time, you know. But Skelly voters come out in hordes, so you know, there always seems to be a skeleton in a vote, you know, that's winning a vote, right? So you know, worst case scenario, you know, in the back of my mind, Clavian and Pixis win. And then it's like, and then it's a toss up, and like, you know, another figure that I don't care about wins. Belgore makes it through or something. And I'm just like, oh, okay. Saves me money, I guess, in the long run. But, and yeah, eCollectibles, I prefer Ignatius and Asterion. Yeah, those are the two that I would prefer, without a doubt. Alberto, I totally agree. Mercurians are so basic. Just as skeletons love the skeletons, but I did not vote for Pixis. I also stand corrected about Carpathians. I'm going to be playing with some Mythic Legions toys tomorrow night live, doing a bit of some pop and swap. Nice. I will definitely be tuning in, Oz. Don't let me jump on, because I've got a 1-year-old's birthday party followed by a outdoor movie night at a friend's just down the street. So I will probably be in no state to be on live video tomorrow. Can you block somebody for a day and unblock them the next day? I don't know. eCollectibles, Skelly collectors will be out in numbers. Yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of people that love skeletons. So I could see both of them getting through. All right, so yeah, now the question is, which ones have the best chance of going through? Okay, so if I had to pick, I think, like we're talking about the skeletons, right? The skeletons, I think, have a very, very good chance of getting through. And the reason that I say that is because they always get through. Every All-Stars vote, there's more of the dang skeletons. So I think Clavian will probably get through. I think Pixis could very likely win the alumni vote. But the alumni vote, I'll be perfectly honest, I could see it going 3 of 4 ways. I don't think Carpathius will win that. But I could 100% see Asterion or Ignatius win. I genuinely could. You know, you can only vote for one, so I guess they have all got a 1 in 4 chance, right? And it's yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I think they said that they're going to announce the winners in May, so we'll know soon enough. Now, as far as the 20, I think Clavian will get through. I think Vorthog has a really good chance. I think Urku has a really good chance just because of the aftermarket price. Same goes for Galeron. I think those are probably the 4 that I think are the top 4, you know, vote getters. I could be wrong. There could be a dwarf in there. That's sort of the outside, you know, shot that I think is in there with a shot. But who knows? I mean, we could all be shocked, and it could be Azza, Faustia, Thalin, and Grisha, right? It could be all 2.0 figures. You just don't know, because the big thing is you don't know who's voting. You don't know. You know, a lot of people are very vocal in the Cabal or in Knights of the North. Knights of the North is pretty peaceful. We're not as we're vocal, but it's not the same kind of vocal. If you know what, if you're in the group, you know what I mean. But it's I think there's a lot of people that wouldn't say like, hey, I voted for all 2.0 figures, because somebody would jump on them and be like, you wasted your vote, you voted wrong, blah, 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 whatever nonsense they would spout, right? I voted for Balam, Boar, Vorthog. Did we get 3 votes? Yeah, we got 3. So those are the 3 that I voted for, and then I voted for Asterion in the alumni. Does anybody want to guess the theme of sort of? I mentioned it earlier, but I wonder. Pearlescence is better than Boulderless Pixis. I mean, yeah. Facebook user, again, another one of his high school band names, Skelly Boners, was his buddy's band name in high school. Mick, if Clavian and Pixis win, more money for Necro Wave 2. Exactly. I love my skeletons. Yeah, they're fine. There's nothing wrong with them. I just think they're kind of boring. Group voting warrior, need that. Yeah, exactly. So I voted for 3 figures that have tails. If I get one, I'll be happy, because I can buy multiples and I can just swap that piece out. Like I said, there's just not that many figures with like 1.0 figures with the tail, the hole for a tail. So I voted for everything that has a tail to get that part. You want to talk about unique parts? That one is right up there in a lot of ways. Some chat. 4 Rhaegors, please. Yeah, and Oz says you can't go wrong on this vote. Yeah, you can't, right? Like, all these figures are great. Like, there aren't any really bad Mythic Legions figures. Not just in this vote, but like there just aren't. And there's definitely going to be ones that, you know, don't suit everybody's preferences. So there's figures that you're going to pass on if you're not a completist. But you can't say that they're bad figures. They're just not for you, you know? Facebook user votes for nipples. So just bare-chested figures. That's all he wants. Vote Boom Boom Hole. Why wasn't that a campaign poster? Good call. If I had more time and I wasn't doing everything else that I was doing, I had thought about campaign posters, and it would have been along those lines. But yeah. More band names. Let's see. All right, yeah, let me know what you guys voted for. Alberto voted for Boar, the 2 kings, so Noglin and Bromden, and Carpathius. Thanos Copter voted Boar, Bromden, and Thwick. Very good votes. Mike Hext, Skelly voter for Afterlife. Clearly voted for the 2 skeletons. eCollectibles, I thought I had to wait to vote. Voting tails. Got it. Vote for assholes. Sounds not unusual. That would be a good like tagline, hey, for the poster. I think they the way that they did it, like, they didn't announce this very far out. They didn't announce like who was up for the vote and give us a lot of time. And then they basically said voting's open for a week. So I think everything, like the window was like really compressed. It felt last year like the campaigning was like, it felt like it was weeks. This time around, it doesn't feel that way. There's a couple other things too. And so so this is sort of the next thing that I wanted to talk about, right? We are going to get 3 winners from the All-Stars. We're going to get 1 winner from the alumni. But that's not going to be the full wave. They haven't told us how many figures are going to be in the wave. But just sort of looking back at All-Stars 5+, you know, we got the All-Stars, and then we got what I think were like even better figures in the new figures, you know. And I could see that again, right? Like I could see us sort of looking back at the All-Stars and like all the excitement and all the sort of stuff that people are sort of going on about like, you know, wasting your vote, blah blah blah. But if they come out with another skeleton that's like a new skeleton that just makes Pixis and Clavian look silly, then we're just going to have this wave of all skeletons. And that's the other thing. Is like this, they've said that there's going to be an extension of the Necronominus wave in All-Star 6. So we're going to get, presumably, and I think it's pretty safe to assume this, I'll pull this down because we're kind of done with that. We're probably going to get, I'm going to take this comment down too. I just realized that's still up there. We're probably going to get, you know, figures from Necronominus and Legion of Marathir. So, you know, we could get a couple more skeletons. We could get a couple more knights. So again, I'm not. And the knights and the skeletons that we got in the Necronominus wave are objectively better designed. You know, the soft goods look phenomenal. Like if we get more of that stuff, I don't care about the All-Stars. I don't like the ones that we're voting on, right? I'm way more excited for June 2nd when they're going to reveal these other ones. Now they also just kind of threw it out there, but there hasn't been any discussion about it. They mentioned a reinforcements wave, or sort of alluded to the fact that there might be a reinforcements wave. Silverhorn Sentry was a very popular figure in last year's All-Star vote. It didn't win, so we didn't get it. But it's a Legion Builder figure, like it's a non-named figure. So that's another thing, is that like if you look at that list of All-Stars to be voted on, they're all named characters. So the characters that appeared last year in the All-Star that didn't show up here include the Silverhorn Sentry. They include the Elf Ranger, Eddie. They include, okay, I take that back. The Vampire Legion Builder was in this wave, or is in the voting. But maybe they just thought he has no chance. We'll just throw him in there to fill out the numbers. The Red Shield Soldier. You know, they've got a bunch of Marathir in here, and the Red Shield Soldier is pretty high aftermarket price. He's in demand. He's a really great example of a knight. So, you know, I could see the reinforcements wave coming sort of on the heels of this and giving us some of the figures that we didn't get in last year's All-Stars and weren't offered here. So I'm still holding out hope. I'm still not going to buy an Elf Ranger at an aftermarket price. Now, that being said, if somebody offers me an Elf Ranger and it's like, you know, buddy price, and I probably would buy it. Just saying, putting it out there. But I'm still not prepared to pay the price that figure is going for. There's so many cool figures to buy that I just don't see the point of paying aftermarket prices. Plus, you know, they're coming out with version 2.0s of so many of these cool figures. So let's jump into the comments. There's still people kind of putting in what they voted for. Mick voted for Bromden, Thalon Frostbow, Vitris, and Sir Iggy. Solid votes there. Definitely some good votes. Facebook user says Mandibulus is the skeleton that matters. Alberto says, as much as I like skeletons, the only one I really want to own, other than the entire Necro wave, is Scaphoid. Is Scaphoid sold out, or is he still available at retail? I thought he was still available at retail. Hold on a second. Is he sold out? Well, he's not listed. I'm just looking at eCollectibles website. He's not listed. Alberto, if you need a Scaphoid, I think you're in Canada. If you're in Canada and you need Scaphoid, message me. I might be able to help you out. JG said, Jeremy said it's Necronominus continued and not a B reel. Yeah, exactly. Like we're going to get, I think we're going to get some really cool figures. eCollectibles, doesn't Ignatius fit in with Sir Gideon? He has to make it in, doesn't he? Being that it's an extension of Necro with this wave. Yes, so Sir Gideon is Etheron. Iggy is Etheron. Ignatius is Etheron. So I would love to see him get through. Otho 2.0, I mean, I could see it. I mean, we're gonna get it at some point, right? They basically said that some of the big characters that we haven't seen in All-Stars voting, it's because they're gonna do 2.0 versions. Gideon Heaven's Brand, we just got in the Necro wave. Vorgus Vermilius 2.0 is the Legions Con exclusive this year. Otho, I think it's only a matter of time. And I think it's going to be one of those figures that people just absolutely lose their minds over, because that Otho is like legendary now, and he was not a popular figure when they released him way back when in the first Kickstarter. Facebook user, I've never owned an Elf Ranger, waiting on my game Elf to make one. Yeah, I mean, that's close, but it's not close enough. It's not close enough. The Elf Ranger just has those muted colors. So eCollectibles Scaphoid is gone. Slowly sold out. Yeah, I think skeletons, right? They just people like skeletons, so they slowly, you know, they move. They move. I went hard on the Necro wave. Can't wait to get those. Well, good news. You're gonna get a second helping of Necro figures. So, Alberto, yes, I am, and I will. Okay, yeah, reach out to me. We'll figure something out. Alberto, Otho will get remade. I have no doubt that he will. That's the thing. I have no doubt that Otho will get a version 2, and that it'll be way better than version 1. Version 1 is a great figure, but you know, Gideon Heaven's Brand is a good figure, but version 2, come on, that figure is gorgeous. The detail is just stunning on it. Scott Baker has joined us, made it at my normal time. Yeah, absolutely. You might get a little bit more because we're sort of still chatting here. Scott, did you vote? Let me know who you voted for. I'm always curious who people vote for, so that I can block them if they voted wrong. Gonna use that Elf King dude with the hood. Necro didn't really speak to me, so passed on it. In the Necro wave, I bought a few knights, and I bought Necronominus and his horse, but that was it. As a guy that's not really a skeleton guy, I needed the Horseman, but I didn't need the rest of the stuff. So I'm curious to see what they do. Like, don't get me wrong, the Maxilius, I think, is the robed skeleton. looks really, really cool. And the fact that they have like a full skeleton buck underneath that robe is something that people have been waiting for. And I think it's awesome that they did it, because now they have that in the parts library and they can use it. The girl with the, you know, all the skeleton animals, super, super cool figure. Space killer. All those animals take up room. I love critters, but I love alive, furry, cuddly critters. So I passed on her, to many people's surprise. Scott voted with his wallet. He voted for Galeron, Vorthog, Clavian, and Sir Ignatius. Good choices. Those are good choices. I mean, those are figures that you want too. And I know that you're not just voting with your wallet. I know that you're voting because you want those figures. And I also know that you're not shouting people down for what they voted for. Oz says Necrowave had me all about it. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like for the skeleton fans, I think that wave is an absolute home run, slam dunk, hole in one. Insert your sports reference. eCollectibles will love me when the Reaper skeleton drops. Yeah, I know. You've kind of told me how many you think you'd want to get, which is great. You know, you do you get your skeletons. Thanos Copters, yeah. Bluelith and the Tuberculi really sold me. Fair enough. You know, get down with your bad self. They're both great looking figures. That Tuberculi, I think that Tuberculi is going to be one of those figures where it has like value as fodder as well, because I think there's going to be a lot of cool uses for some of the parts that are in there. I think 2 of the arms are like longer than normal, and there's a whole bunch of bones in there, and there's a whole bunch of cool stuff, and he's got extra arms and so on and so forth. So I think, like I said, like for customizers and stuff like that, for people that are doing pop and swap and all that kind of stuff, I think that Tuberculi is going to go a long way. I think it's going to be a popular figure for sure. I will send you a repainted. Okay. Repainted what? But yeah, so the vote is there. The vote is up. If you haven't voted yet, I would strongly recommend that you get there and get your vote in, because like I said, they said that there's only so many slots. The sort of voting calculator can only take so many votes. Uh-oh. Do we have 2 Facebook users now? Facebook user 1, is this you or is this somebody else now? When there was only 1, I could manage. But I don't know who the other one is. What are we talking about? That's why I think it's not you. Oh, Jay said, Facebook user said, I'll send you a repainted Minotaur head. Okay, I'll take it. Alberto said Tuberculi will be the next Apharius, as in special parts for unique uses and customizations. Yeah, exactly. I think that Apharius is criminally underrated. It's such a great figure, as is. And I can't wait for more brute scale figures. Scott, excited to see why Jeremy was telling everyone to grab extra Tuberculi. Yeah, I mean, I'm curious, but it didn't inspire me to buy any. After seeing the Tuberculi with the skeleton horse and the centaur adapter, woo or whoa? I don't know what you're going for with that, but are you going for Ric Flair, or are you going for anyway? Lee86, who is a new name in the chat. Hello and welcome. It says, it's too bad there's only 3 from all those great figures. To think no matter what, there's going to be figures in there that don't show up for several years down the road. Yeah, I mean, it's bittersweet, right? Because it's, yeah, not everybody can win. And if you're like me and the ones that you want to win are the ones that are very unlikely to win, you're gonna be waiting. But I guess the silver lining and sort of the thing that I hold on to is that, you know, so long as they keep doing All-Stars, those figures have a chance, right? Those figures have a chance of coming back in the next All-Stars. And as they sort of move through the Clavions and Pixuses and Gold Skeletons and whatever other boners they want to throw in there, eventually we'll get Balam and Elf Rangers. So we got that to look forward to 5 years from now. Alberto says, Mr. AWOC is here. Is that who Facebook user is? I can't see who Facebook user is because it doesn't show up on my... I mean, I know who one of the Facebook users is, but... Why are you going to be a boner killer? Hey, what can I say? Ghost clear skeletons. Are you sure you would want that, Mike Hext? And the reason that I say that is because when you have like a really properly clear figure, you see all the joints and stuff, and it never looks as clear as you think it would. But Hagnon is pretty dope, and then we're getting blue Hagnon too. So Hagnon is a skeleton that I like, but that's more because I like translucent and glow in the dark figures than because he's a skeleton. Oz says Ric Flair, baby. Woo! All right. Brute scale Thistlethorn. No, he's got to. Thistlethorn has to stay cute. He has to stay small. But if we get a brute scale critter of some sort, I'd be all about that. Give me more critters. I like all different scales. Give me a troll scale critter. I'd love that. Facebook, yeah, I know which Facebook user this is. Yeah, brute scale Sasquatch would be awesome. That would be a great figure. I'll sign your what's that website where you can do petitions and just get people to sign it? I'll sign your petition for that. What's that called? What's that website called? Change.org. Let's get a petition going on change.org to get a brute scale Sasquatch. Let's bully the 4 Horsemen into making that figure. All right. Oz says Belulit had me because of critters. Yeah, but they're skeletons. They're not critters. They're dead. That's not cuddly. That's not cute. Alberto, brute scale elk or jackalope? Honestly, I would love them to do like an elk as a mount. That would be so cool. That'd be so cool. Yeah, make it figure obscura. Sure. And then and then the retailer variant could be the Yeti, right? You could do it white. Oz will sign it too. So we got 3 votes already. We're gonna make this happen. Oz says undead critters have feelings too. No, they don't. Hot take. Real life critters don't have feelings. We just think they do because we project onto them. They have survival instincts that they've learned how to trick us into thinking they have feelings. And that's why we love them. That's all I had. That's all I wanted to talk about. All-Stars 6 voting. Get out there and vote, because you might run out of time sooner than you think. Stay tuned. June 2nd, they're going to announce the rest of the wave. We will probably end up having a video talking about it. And stay tuned for the possibility of another reinforcement, an army builder wave. That I think, you know, some of the figures that we want, that we've asked for, that we thought we might see on All-Stars voting again, didn't show up for that reason. That's my prediction. We'll see. But that's what I got. That's what there's my All-Stars 6 video. Done and dusted, I think. My critter dog is full of feelings. What are you talking about? Facebook user Silverhorn will come out. I genuinely think that it will, because I think it did well enough in All-Stars voting that I genuinely believe we'll see that figure sooner rather than later. Alberto says, awesome, glad I came here to chat. Thanks, Adam. I'll reach out for that scaffold. Yes, do. We'll get that sorted out. I think that's the top builder I want. I think referring to Silverhorn Sentry. Assuming that this is still the same Facebook user. I don't know what's going on anymore. Yeah. Oh, wait. Okay, Alberto, when you said Mr. AWOC is here, did you mean me? Was my Mr. AWOC coming out? Is that the name of that character now? Maybe I just misunderstood. So much skeleton bullying. They're dead. They don't have feelings. It doesn't matter. You can't bully something that's dead. That's a fact. Oh, Jason. That was Jason. Okay, so Jason showed up as Facebook user. That's weird. Okay. I thought that's who it might be. Yeah. They have backbone. Yeah, but as far as characters go, they're not very well fleshed out. It showed he was watching. Yeah, he's watching from the sidelines like a creep. No, I love Jason. I'll probably chat with Jason within the next 24 hours. So glad to be able to chat about All-Star 6. So am I. It's fun. I mean, I'm always happy to chat about this stuff. Man, talking about toys is the next best thing to playing with toys. So. Mike, that's a good one. That's a joke for Geek Def on Life. They don't even have thin skin. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. I like where this is. I like where this is headed. Lee 86. If you had, say, what would you put in Mythic Legions? More critters, more lean thief spy like characters, modular beards, for example. Yeah, more critters. I like the 2.0 figures. But you know, I think the 4 Horsemen are doing a good job of what they're doing. There's a couple things that I would like I would love to see in Mythic Legions. For more on that, though, I'm intentionally not sort of answering this question as well as I could, because I'm going to be on Legion's Lair on June 6th, and one of their questions is if you could add a race to Mythic Legions that they don't currently have, what would it be? And I have an answer to that, but you'll have to tune into Legion's Lair Tuesday, June 6th at 4 p.m. Pacific. I have no idea what time they shoot that, because I think they're Central Time. But anyway, stay tuned. That's in the Cabal, not on YouTube. A skeleton walks into a bar and orders a beer and a mop. It's beheaded for the boneyard. Ohio, that's right. Yeah, they talk about the Buckeyes all the time. Oz says I'd like to see some mini playsets, like old school G.I. Joe. You know what? I don't even need playsets. I need things like accessories that you could put in a dio. I would love to see, you know, like a rack for spears, because the spears are, there's nowhere to put them. They're too big, or like a sword rack, or somewhere to kind of mount shields or something like that. So I mean, I guess playset adjacent, in a way, would be super cool. Anyway, that's all I got. So I'm gonna wrap it up. I appreciate you guys all hanging out and joining me. Always super fun to do these videos. Always fun to chat toys, like I said. Stay tuned. I got a video on Sunday that just sort of lined up. I'm going to be talking to Matthew Rodriguez from Armies of Ashmore on Sunday, 2 p.m. Pacific. We're going to be chatting about the Kickstarter. We're going to be talking about the figures that are in the Kickstarter, some of the unlocks. I'm going to talk a little bit. I'm going to try to ask him questions that haven't been asked before. So if you've got a question that you want me to try to ask, make sure to be there. Jump in the chat. We'll pull questions from the chat as well. So that should be super fun. If you need some Mythic Legions now, you can't wait. Hit up Mike at eCollectibles, get an order in. There's still some good stuff available. But you know how Mythic Legions is. If you don't get it now, you're going to be paying the price later on. That's not my opinion. That's just the truth. Oz says, yes, Defenders of Eden. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that chat. Matt is a super nice dude. He and I get along really well, considering we've known each other for like a week. We've been chatting like all day for 2 days. And not about Armies of Ashmore at all, which is kind of funny, but we'll see how that goes. Thanos Copter says, thanks for showing the figs. Help me make my votes. I hope you don't vote for any skeletons. But if you do, you're still allowed to hang out. Thanos Copter says, later, everybody, have a good night. And on that note, I will say the same thing. Thank you for joining me. Please like, please subscribe, hit that notification button, and we'll talk to you again.